Hey. What's going on? Dead Rails has been around for just a couple of short months, and in that time we've gotten so many updates that have fundamentally changed the way that the game plays. Everything from classes to new locations to even different types of trains now, and of course so much more. But with that, there's also going to be a lot more that we can and will see in upcoming updates in the next several weeks, and in today's video I want to cover what some of those things just might be, and of course some changes that we may get in future updates beyond that, including new classes, different types of ores, and even some secret locations. And of course, as we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up with all of the latest Dead Rails content, and also a big thanks for 250,000 subscribers. Now, let's get straight into the video. Ores are one of the newer mechanics that are in Dead Rails, being a super useful way to get some extra fuel for your train or some extra money with the gold and silver nuggets that are pretty common throughout your journey. However, I feel like we're probably going to get a lot more ores in the near future. Diamonds being a really obvious one that we could see. However, I would definitely take it a step further and have other rare ores like emeralds, sapphires, and rubies. And if we do end up seeing a change like this, I imagine they'd be a super rare and super expensive thing to come across. But I think it'd be so sick to just have those extra like, yes, I can't believe I found it moments. Personally, for me, I don't pay that much attention to the ores unless I've already bothered picking up a pickaxe, or even the rare times that I play the miner class. It is a great feature though to me, but I do think that we need some more rare ores, and I really think this is something that we will get in the very near future. Horses are a super core part to exploring in Dead Rails, letting you move a lot faster, being pretty easily obtained from either outlaws, having them as a guaranteed spawn at farms, or just out in the wild if you end up having a saddle. However, I do think that we all have experiences with horses that lead us to going, my god, I wish they were better. Namely, whenever you try to back up and the horse starts genuinely tweaking, but I imagine that that's probably a fairly simple fix that they just haven't gotten to yet, hopefully. What I'm more talking about though is that I think we could definitely see horses being even more useful than they already are. Yes, we did recently get horse carts, which make looting so much easier, but I'd like to see a way to be able to actually heal the horses. Maybe like an apple that acts as a healing item so that whenever you accidentally electrocute them and leave them with 1 HP, you don't just have to replace it right away. But I hope that we can also see some variety in the horses, and I imagine that we probably will at some point. Mostly in their speed is what I would like to see. So maybe you can get like slower horses, maybe some faster horses. That way you not only utilize horses, but also are incentivized to explore, actually fight more bandits, or even chasing down packs of horses. Something of which that I never do. Because doing these things, it could get you a better or faster horse. Maybe even something like a spurred boot as an armor piece that you could get for your feet. That'll make your horses go a little bit faster. And of course, also, yeah, please fix the backing up bug because it's gotten me killed so many times and I can't stand the tweaking horses anymore. Alongside possible healing items for horses, we really need to get some more healing items for us, the player. Ever since I started playing Dead Rails a couple of months ago, it's never not fazed me that you can go into a gunsmith, see tons of options, a general store, even more options. But you go into the doctor's office and you have just 2 options, just like in real life. 10,000 flavors of Pop-Tarts, but just a handful of overpriced medical options to stop you from dying. I love America. Anyway, yes, I think we for sure need some more healing items, but it's kind of hard to say what though, since we really have pretty much all of our bases covered with the 2 that we currently have, though in some capacity I would like to see more. I haven't put a crazy amount of thought into it, but I think something like maybe a head wrap that you can use in place of your helmet slot that'll let you regenerate health a little bit faster than normal over time, I guess. Or maybe some kind of rag or like band-aid or something that heals you for like just 10% but are extremely cheap and work instantly. However, I think my best idea whenever it comes to this kind of thing would have to be an item called the antidote. We could definitely see some kind of doctor zombie that has a chance to spawn at a doctor's office and itself has a chance to drop an antidote upon dying. And it would have like the same effect that the Jade Sword does, but instead of hitting them with it, you'd have to throw it like a holy water or a Molotov, and it has something like a 50% chance of turning them friendly. It'd be a bit dubious lore-wise, since the cure is supposed to be after you beat the game, hence why it wouldn't be a guaranteed chance to work. Though I do think it'd be super fun to use in hordes, though maybe a bit OP, so it'd have to be something that would be pretty rare or works in a super small area, so you couldn't just turn a whole horde friendly. It would also need to be ineffective against enemies like Outlaws or Nikola Tesla, though honestly, I'd love to see if you guys could come up with some better ideas for medical items in the comments section below. Not terribly long ago, we got a new nighttime variety of like event, I guess you could say, that being the lightning storms that prove very deadly. But I don't think that the devs will stop there. Now, since Dead Rails does take place in a desert, I think it's entirely possible that we could see things like sandstorms. This could even be a daytime weather event that makes it where you take very slight damage if you're outside, kind of like how Vampire takes damage in daylight. It would just be another thing that I think could add some more difficulty to the game. I think tornadoes could also be a decent addition that we could see, though I'm not entirely sure of how it would be implemented to not be super overpowered. Maybe the same type of thing where you can see it, just don't go near it and stay inside, or else it could throw you when you take damage from that. There could also be some kind of rainstorm as well that does not have the lightning aspect to it, but it makes the sand muddy and it slows you down a little bit. I honestly love some of these weather ideas and could 100% see things like this being added in the future, just as we did the lightning storms that we currently have in game. We do have a fair few locations in Dead Rails that are unique and you can only see once per run, like Sterling or the Tesla Lab. And while they do contribute to every game in some capacity from having expensive loot or just being fun places to explore, there are some rumored locations that we could see in the very near future, and others that I think would just be cool to see overall. The first one is going to be Egypt. This is the rumored one, and I don't know where that started, but there's loads of people talking about Egypt in the Dead Rails Discord server. And while we don't have Egypt as I assume people mean like a pyramid rather than the country of Egypt. We technically do already have a pyramid that was added to the game during the Easter event. However, it is super small and it's not super significant. It's not an essential location or anything like that. But if we did get pyramids added to Dead Rails, we could see enemies in the form of mummies, maybe even a mini boss called the Pharaoh, maybe even some other types of cool skeleton zombies that are covered in rags. There are just so many cool opportunities with a location like this, with all kinds of traps and such, that I think it's just kind of an absolute no-brainer for the devs to make and add. I do think as well that we could see some kind of prison complex. I know that we have the tiny little jails inside of the sheriff's offices, but I mean like a very large prison that has loads of loot and zombie types with old style prison uniforms, maybe even a warden mini boss akin to the one from Black Ops 2. If you somehow weren't alive when Black Ops 2 came out, don't think back that far, you might hurt yourself. Though I'd also love to see some kind of underground mine as well at some point. We do have the Sterling mine, yes, and we do technically have mine entrances with the head frame buildings, but I can't lie, every single time that I stop by a head frame, I check right here just in case there was a secret mine added that nobody told me about. Am I tweaking? Yes. Do I want an underground mine that would be super close quarters, tight little corridors, and it's packed with enemies? Also yes. What other kinds of locations would you guys like to see? I'd freaking love to know. I love thinking about this. I do want to get to some class ideas that we could definitely see in the future as well, but first I want to just talk about the train classes, because whenever I was first writing the script a couple of days ago, I had this idea and then we just kind of ended up seeing it get added, so yippee, I guess. But also one that I was going to include in the script we did not get, and that was going to be a faster train. Yes, we do have the conductor class, but I think it would be really cool to have a faster train that maybe doesn't have a train car at all or something as like a debuff, or maybe it's a different type of train altogether that's faster and uses more coal, but it has less space or something along those lines. You can really do a lot of different ideas for trains. Maybe one with 2 cars that's really long. Maybe one that's like a luxury train that comes with chairs and is similar to the cattle car just with windows. There's just so many huge opportunities for sure that we could definitely see in the coming weeks, because we will more than likely have more trains added over the next several updates. Now, alongside the train classes, yes, we do have a ton of classes already in Dead Rails, but we definitely have so many more options or unique ideas that we could see, and I've definitely got a good handful myself. One that I would like to see that I think is actually kind of more relevant now is going to be a commander. This would act kind of similar to the Packmaster, where you can have wolves fighting for you, and you spawn with a couple of them. However, instead of wolves, you would have a single soldier that you can have, just like the ones that you see in the safe areas, though there would have to be some kind of cap, maybe like holding a maximum of 2 at a time or something in your sack. But this would be a super helpful class and basically be an upgraded damage version of Packmaster. Maybe we could see something like the Headless Horseman. He'd spawn with like a skeleton horse or some kind of special horse with some kind of special melee that does a lot of damage, something like that. I don't know a ton about Headless Horseman lore, but I do know that a Sentry class would be also pretty cool to see. I'd had a few ideas of how the Sentry class would work. Maybe he spawns with some kind of Maxim gun or something that has a unique to the class 200 round box, or maybe some other kind of Sentry class that could spawn with an auto turret or soldiers mounted to a turret, kind of like we get in the safe areas, and then you could just weld wherever to your train. I think that'd be great for solo runs. You could also have a soldier class that spawns with a rifle, an outlaw class that maybe has increased firing speed at the cost of accuracy, or even a welding class that allows you to weld different objects together, so you don't have to do a wild glitch where you disconnect your Wi-Fi to do it. I mean, you can have an endless amount of ideas whenever it comes to what we could potentially see in the coming updates, but I think all of these are pretty decent ideas to some degree. If you have any class ideas though, I'd love to know. Game modes do exist in Dead Rails, but mostly in the form of events usually. Otherwise, we do have 2 standard normal game modes, that being normal, obviously, and nightmare mode, which are both pretty good options if you want like a good solid Dead Rails experience, but we could for sure stand to see a couple of more. Maybe we could have a horde mode where it's like 10 times the enemies and like double the amount of loot that spawns. Maybe we could have a night mode where it's like always nighttime and shifting between the different nighttime events, or a day night mode, if that makes sense. Basically, it would just always be day, but it would always be spawning enemies zombies like you see during the night. Some variation of one of these would be like just a really good game mode, just kind of something slightly different from the base game mode that doesn't change up the game too much. Heck, give me an endless mode that just gets harder and harder as things go. Maybe items even get more expensive the longer that you survive, and there's just no end in that game mode. Again, I'm sure you could come up with some more modes in the comment section below, though I am absolutely positive we are going to be seeing more game modes as updates roll out for the game. Lore would be a more awesome thing to see for Dead Rails, but it is a very early alpha game, and a lot of things are going to change over time, and I'm sure a lot of it's going to be based on actual development of the game. So I'm not surprised that we haven't seen much more lore yet. I'm sure we will in the future. But while we don't really have much lore, I think we could definitely see a lengthening of the game. Currently, the game ends whenever your train hits about 80,000 meters, but I think we could definitely see that expanded quite a bit, at least to 100k. That way we could just kind of even it out, and it gives you a little bit more playtime. I just feel like every time that I just get the best gear and the most money and the coolest stuff, it's like right before the end of the game. And like, yeah, you're kind of getting yourself geared for that ending, but I just feel like I don't get to enjoy all the stuff that I get for a long enough time. It can take a while to beat the game by itself, but sometimes I'm just chilling and I just want to keep on going. Now, I don't have a particularly large idea for getting upgrades later down the line in Dead Rails' development, but I would like to see some sort of weapon upgrade system as you progress, provided that they lengthen the amount of time that it takes to actually get to the end of the game. I have no idea what the form would be, like a Call of Duty Pack-a-Punch type system, or like an upgrade building in the safe areas where you can upgrade different stats of your weapon, like reload speed, fire rates, damage, anything like that. But I would definitely like to see it at some point, and I'm sure that we will get it. But again, the game is in very early development, so a lot of these kinds of features might be a bit of time before we do see them. I think there are some other pretty good quality of life changes that we could definitely stand to get to, like an option for unlimited players to join a lobby. Just anytime that I stream, I'm always wishing I could get more people into my game. Of course, bug fixes would always be nice to see, but in general, these are my main ideas of what we could definitely see in upcoming updates for the game, and I would love to know your guys' thoughts and what you think that we'll see in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, huge thanks for 250k, and huge thanks to all the channel members up on screen to help support me making videos just like this as often as I do, and you could definitely become one as well with the link in the description below, where you could also find my Discord server to chat with me in my community. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, dudes.